Afghanistan, Helmand Province, October 2011. The convoy moves through darkness under a sky thick with stars that seem close enough to touch. Night vision paints everything in shades of green. 5 Marines in the lead Humvee joke about the care packages waiting back at base. Martinez wants his girlfriend's cookies. Rodriguez claims his mom's tamales beat anyone's cookies. Johnson argues for his wife's brownies. Williams says they're all wrong because his sister makes the best fudge in Texas. Ghost sits in the passenger seat, gunnery sergeant stripes on his sleeve, listening to his squad with half his attention. The other half scans the road ahead. Something feels wrong. The air tastes different tonight. Smells like copper and diesel and something else he can't name. Thompson rides in the back, point man duties done for the evening, cleaning his rifle with practiced hands. He looks up, catches Ghost's eye in the rearview mirror, grins that easy grin that makes everyone feel safer. The kid's only 24, but he's got the steadiness of men twice his age. Already recommended him for promotion. Already told the command this Marine's going places. The radio crackles, base checking in, Ghost reaches for the handset, white light swallows everything. The blast lifts the Humvee 3 feet off the ground. Metal screams, glass shatters. Fire erupts from somewhere beneath the engine block. Ghost's head slams against something hard. His vision goes red, then black, then red again. Smoke fills his lungs. Heat bakes his left side. He tries to move. Can't. Something's pinning his legs. The steering column, maybe. Or the dashboard. Hard to tell when you can't see through the flames. Sound returns in pieces. Ringing? Someone screaming? Return fire from the escort vehicles. RPGs whistling overhead. Marines shouting coordinates. All of it underwater, distant, wrong. Hands grab his vest, yank hard. Pain shoots through his trapped legs. The hands don't stop, don't gentle their grip. Just pull. Metal tears. Something in Ghost's knee pops. He's moving now, dragged backward through the shattered windshield. Broken glass cuts his face. Doesn't matter. The fire's spreading. Fuel tank could blow any second. He hits dirt, rolls, looks up through the smoke and sees Thompson's face streaked with blood and soot. The younger Marine's hands are burned, skin peeling. He doesn't seem to notice, just turns back toward the Humvee. Martinez is still inside. Ghost tries to speak. Tell him to stop. Nothing comes out but a cough that brings up blood. Thompson disappears into the smoke. 30 seconds later, he emerges with Martinez over his shoulder in a fireman's carry, drops him next to Ghost, turns toward the medevac chopper that's trying to land 50 meters away. Taliban fighters are zeroing in on it. Bullets kick up dirt. Thompson grabs his rifle, positions himself between the chopper and the incoming fire, starts laying down suppressive bursts, controlled, professional, giving the bird time to touch down. The RPG comes from the ridgeline. Ghost sees it, sees the smoke trail, sees Thompson see it. The angle's all wrong. It's going to hit the chopper door, going to kill the pilot and the medic and anyone inside. Thompson steps left, plants his feet, takes the rocket full in the chest. The explosion tears him apart. Ghost screams, keeps screaming. Someone's jabbing a needle in his arm. Morphine, maybe. World goes soft at the edges, but not soft enough to erase what he just saw. Not soft enough to erase the knowledge that Thompson died so 6 men could live. Not soft enough to erase the question that will haunt him for the next 13 years. Why him and not me? Present day, Tuesday, 3:47 in the morning. Highway 54 cuts through New Mexico darkness like a scar. Ghost rides alone except for the sleeping form of his son, tucked into the custom sidecar he built with his own hands. Dylan's 9 years old and small for his age. Wears his father's old Marine Corps sweatshirt even in summer. Feels safer that way. The bike's engine rumbles steady beneath them. Panhead engine. Rebuilt it twice. Knows every bolt, every gasket, every quirk. This machine's the only thing besides Dylan that Ghost trusts completely. Bikes don't lie. Don't make promises they can't keep. Just run or don't run. Simple. His left hand aches where the burn scars pull tight in the cold air. 13 years and they still hurt when the temperature drops. Physical therapists said the nerve damage was permanent, Said he'd adapt. She was right. You adapt or you die. Marines understand that truth down in their bones. Ghost hasn't slept in 36 hours. Insomnia has been his companion since Helmand. Closes his eyes and sees Thompson stepping into that RPG. Sees Martinez's face, Rodriguez's laugh, Johnson's wedding photo he kept in his helmet band, Williams's college acceptance letter he never got to use. 5 men who should be alive. 1 man who lived instead. The arithmetic doesn't work. Never has. Never will. He twists the throttle. Engine note climbs. Speed helps sometimes. The wind and the road and the endless white line helps him forget he's running from ghosts he can never outpace. Dylan shifts in the sidecar. Doesn't wake. Kids learn to sleep through anything. Necessary skill when your father rides at 3 in the morning because he can't stand being still. Because stillness means thinking. Thinking means remembering. Remembering means drowning. They say time heals. 13 years should be enough, should dull the edges, should make the weight bearable. But Ghost carries Thompson's death like a stone in his chest, feels it pressing on his lungs with every breath. Thompson pulled him from that fire, saved his life, took the hit meant for others, died doing what Marines do, protecting their brothers, and Ghost lived, got the Purple Heart, got the Bronze Star, got to go home, got to hold his newborn son, got to watch Dylan take his first steps, got to see sunrises Thompson will never see, got to drink coffee Thompson will never taste, got to live the life Thompson earned with his blood. The debt sits on Ghost's shoulders, heavier than any pack he ever humped through the desert, heavier than any burden the Corps ever gave him. This weight has no orders, no mission parameters, no clear objective, just the knowledge that he owes a dead man everything and can never repay it. Dylan's all that keeps the darkness back, some days barely. But enough. Ghost promised Thompson's memory he'd survive for something. Promised himself he'd be better than his own father, who checked out with a bottle and a belt. Promised Dylan's mother before the divorce that he'd keep their son safe even if he couldn't keep himself together. 3 promises, 1 anchor, 1 reason to keep riding instead of pulling over and never starting again. The highway sign flashes past. Arizona state line 20 miles. Ghost checks the fuel gauge. Half tank, enough to make the border, enough to find breakfast, enough to pretend he's got a plan beyond running from the past. Ray's Diner, Millbrook, Arizona. Tuesday morning. 6:15 and Sarah Thompson unlocks the front door with the same key her father used for 60 years. The metal's worn smooth, fits the lock like it remembers every morning. Every opening, every promise to keep the place alive one more day. She flips the lights. Fluorescents flicker twice before catching. Need replacing. Add it to the list. The list that's longer than her arm and growing. Electrical work, plumbing repairs, new equipment, fresh paint. All the things she can't afford that pile up like unpaid bills. Behind the counter hangs her father's photo. Ray Thompson in his Marine Corps uniform. Korea, 1952. 22 years old and looking like he could fight the whole Chinese army by himself. Maybe he did. He never talked about it much, just came home. Started this diner, worked 7 days a week for 40 years until his heart gave out 3 years ago. Next to his photo hangs Sarah's. Desert Storm, 1991. Army captain, Nurse Corps. 24 years old and convinced she could save everyone. Found out fast that some wounds don't heal. Some soldiers don't make it. Some nights you do everything right and they still die in your hands. She touches the folded flag in its case. Tom's flag. Her husband's flag. The one they handed her at Arlington while Riley stood beside her, not crying because she'd learned early that Thompson women don't break in public. Save it for after. For alone. For the dark hours when nobody's watching. Tom's photo sits beside the others. Marines. Afghanistan. 2010. He's grinning in that picture. Always grinning. Even on his worst days, he found something to smile about. Said life was too short for staying mad. Said the Corps taught him to focus on the mission and let the small stuff go. He was wrong about life being too short. It wasn't too short. It was exactly the right length for him to ship out 3 times. For him to miss Riley's first steps. For him to video chat from Helmand while their daughter asked why Daddy lived in the computer. For him to promise he'd be home for her third birthday. For him to die 2 weeks before that birthday, saving men Sarah's never met. Men who sent letters afterward. Men who showed up at the funeral. Men who shook her hand and said Tom was a hero. Men who looked at her with pity she didn't want and couldn't refuse. She starts the coffee. Industrial pot. Makes 20 cups at once. Used to need 3 pots running to keep up with the morning rush. Now 1 pot lasts until lunch, sometimes longer. The register sits quiet. She doesn't need to count it. Knows exactly what's inside. $127.43. Yesterday's take. 3 customers all day. Mrs. Patterson came in for pie. Sheriff Bradley grabbed coffee. Some trucker stopped for directions and ordered fries out of politeness. 3 customers won't pay the rent, won't cover the electric bill, won't keep the suppliers from cutting her off, won't save this place her grandfather built with his own hands, won't preserve the legacy her father died protecting, won't stop the slow collapse that's been coming since the highway bypass opened and took all the traffic 5 miles south. Sarah wears her father's old Army veteran cap, faded, sweat-stained, fits her head like it knows she's earned it. She did 2 tours, saw plenty of action, patched up plenty of Marines and soldiers and airmen who were too young to die and too brave to complain. Got her own medals, got her own scars, physical and otherwise. Thompson women don't quit. Ray survived Chosin Reservoir where the thermometer hit 20 below and the Chinese came in human waves. Sarah survived Scud missile alerts in mass casualty incidents and the weight of holding dying 18-year-olds who called for their mothers. Tom survived 2 tours before Hellman got him on his third. They survived. She'll survive. Somehow. The bills sit in the office, red stamps everywhere. Final notice, past due, urgent, words designed to make you panic. Sarah's past panic. Move through fear into that cold place where you just do the math and accept the numbers. $9,600 behind on rent. $847 on electric with a disconnect warning. $400 on water. $2,100 to the food supplier who's threatening to cut her off. She's got $127 and 6 days until the landlord makes good on his eviction threat. The door to the apartment upstairs opens. Riley appears. 12 years old, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. Tom's eyes looking out of her face. Smart kid, too smart, sees everything. Understands more than Sarah wishes she did. Riley moves through the diner with military efficiency. Sarah taught her that. Taught her to be useful. Taught her to help without being asked. Taught her that Thompson women carry their weight. Always have. Always will. Morning, Mom. Sarah manages a smile that almost reaches her eyes. Morning, baby. School okay today? Got a math test. Think I'm ready. Of course you are. You're brilliant. Riley doesn't argue. Just starts filling napkin dispensers. Practiced movements. Done this 1,000 times. We'll do it 1,000 more if the diner lasts that long. If Sarah can hold the line 6 more days. If a miracle happens. Sarah doesn't believe in miracles anymore. Believed once. Believed Tom would come home. Believed the Army when they said he was in a safe area. Believed right up until the chaplain knocked on her door with that look on his face. The look that says everything before a word gets spoken. She pours 2 bowls of oatmeal. Cheap, filling, keeps you going. They eat in silence, comfortable silence. The kind that comes from knowing someone so well words become optional. Riley finishes first, rinses her bowl, grabs her backpack. Love you, Mom. Love you too, baby. Learn something today. Riley grins. That's Tom's grin. Always ready, always game, always finding the light even when the dark presses close. She heads out. Sarah watches through the window until her daughter disappears around the corner toward Jefferson Elementary. Then she's alone. Just her and the empty diner and the weight of promises she's breaking. Promised her father she'd keep this place running. Promised Tom she'd give Riley a stable home. Promised herself she wouldn't be the generation that let the Thompson legacy die. 3 promises, 1 woman. 0 miracles. She picks up a rag, starts wiping the counter. Same spot she wiped yesterday. Same spot she'll wipe tomorrow if tomorrow comes. Muscle memory, autopilot. The work that fills the hours until closing, until she can lock the door and climb the stairs and pretend to sleep. Outside, morning breaks over Millbrook. Small town, quiet town, dying town, main streets half empty, half the shops closed, population dropping every year. Young people leave, old people die. Nobody new moves in, just the slow fade of places the world forgot. Sarah understands that feeling. The slow fade, the forgetting, the knowledge that you're disappearing and nobody notices. Nobody cares. Nobody comes. She wipes the counter, waits for customers who won't arrive, counts down the days until the end. Ghost pulls into a gas station on the New Mexico side of the Arizona border. Dawn's breaking, sky going from black to gray to that pale blue that promises heat later. Dylan stirs in the sidecar, blinks sleep from his eyes, looks around with that quiet wariness kids develop when their lives aren't stable. Where are we, Dad? Almost to Arizona. Need to gas up. Ghost dismounts. Every joint aches. Too many miles, too many years, too many injuries that never quite healed right. His left knee clicks when he walks. Souvenir from the IED, metal pin holding the joint together. Reminds him every morning that he's alive, that Thompson's dead, that the universe doesn't care about fair. Dylan climbs out slowly, kid skinny, too skinny. Ghost can see his ribs through the sweatshirt, can see the hollows under his cheekbones. 9 years old and already learning to make himself small, learning to need less, learning that asking for things causes problems. Ghost hates that he's teaching his son those lessons, hates that he can't do better, can't provide more, can't give Dylan the childhood he deserves. Stable home, regular meals, a father who doesn't wake screaming from nightmares, a father who doesn't need the bike and the road to keep from falling apart. He pumps gas, $47 in his wallet until Friday. That's payday. That's when his disability check hits and he can breathe for another 2 weeks. $47, 15 in the tank, 32 left. Maybe 3 days of food if he's careful, if Dylan doesn't grow, if nothing breaks. The math doesn't work, hasn't worked for months. Job market's tight. Nobody wants a 48-year-old electrician with PTSD and a questionable employment history. Had a good gig in Phoenix. Steady work, union benefits. Then the nightmares got worse. Then he missed 3 days straight because he couldn't get out of bed. Then the foreman had that talk, the understanding talk, the we have to let you go talk. Been picking up day labor since. Cash jobs, under the table, enough to keep the trailer rent paid, enough to keep Dylan fed. Barely. Some days not even that. Dylan heads toward the restroom. Ghost watches him go. Kid walks like he's apologizing for taking up space. Shoulders hunched, eyes down. That's not right. 9-year-old boys should swagger, should take up all the space they want, should be loud and messy and confident. Ghost taught him to be quiet instead, taught him to hide, taught him survival skills no kid should need. The pump clicks off. Ghost caps the tank. $16, 29 left. Not enough. He walks toward the convenience store, needs coffee, needs something to keep him awake until they reach wherever they're going. Hasn't figured that part out yet. Just knows they can't go back to Phoenix. Can't face another day in that trailer where the walls close in and the memories wait. The store's fluorescent lights hurt his eyes. Too bright, too sharp, makes his head pound. He grabs the cheapest coffee, considers food, protein bars maybe, something Dylan can eat in the sidecar. His hand hovers over the granola bars. $3, that's lunch sorted. Dinner becomes the problem. Dylan appears beside him. Quiet footsteps. Ghost didn't hear him approach. The kids learned to move like a ghost too. Learned from watching his father disappear into silence. Dad, I'm hungry. The words hit like shrapnel. Ghost's chest tightens. His son is hungry, and he's standing here doing math about protein bars, like feeding his own kid is a tactical problem requiring strategic planning. I know, buddy, we'll get breakfast soon. Dylan nods. Doesn't push, doesn't complain, just accepts. 9 years old and already resigned to disappointment, already expecting less, already learning that his needs come second to his father's inability to meet them. Ghost adds 2 protein bars to his coffee, Pays with a 20. Gets $11 back. 31 total now. $3 went to making sure Dylan doesn't go hungry for another few hours. Worth it. Every time. Dylan comes first. Always. Even when Ghost can barely take care of himself. They walk back to the bike. Ghost hands Dylan a protein bar. The kid tears into it like he hasn't eaten in days. Maybe he hasn't. Ghost tries to remember their last real meal. Sunday? Monday. Time blurs when you're running. He should stop. Should find work. Should plant roots somewhere and give Dylan stability. But the roots feel like chains. Feel like staying still long enough for the darkness to catch up. For the ghost to find him. For the weight of Thompson's death to crush him flat. So he rides. Keeps moving. Tells himself it's better this way. Tells himself Dylan needs to see the country. Needs adventure. Needs a father who's present even if that father's broken. Better than what Ghost had. Better than a drunk who used his fists more than his words. Better than the man who taught Ghost that love comes with conditions and pain. They mount up. Ghost kicks the engine over. The rumble settles his nerves. This he can control. The throttle, the clutch, the road ahead. Simple mechanics, simple choices. Twist left to go. Twist right to stop. No moral complexity, no guilt, just motion. Dylan settles into the sidecar, puts his head back, closes his eyes, trusts his father to get them somewhere safe. Ghost wishes that trust felt like anything other than another weight on his shoulders. They pull out of the train station. Head west, Arizona waits, and somewhere in Arizona in a diner Ghost doesn't know exists, Sarah Thompson's day is just beginning. The past catches up in pieces. Ghost riding through Arizona scrubland when the memory hits. Not the explosion this time, something gentler, something worse because it reminds him that Thompson was real, was a person, was more than just the Marine who died saving him. Base Hospital, Camp Leatherneck, late 2011. Ghost in a bed with burns wrapped and pain meds flowing. Alive somehow, breathing somehow, functioning somehow, even though 5 of his brothers aren't. The nurse walks in. Army captain, competent hands, kind eyes. She checks his vitals without speaking, adjusts his IV, makes notes on a chart. Professional, detached. Exactly what he needs because sympathy would break him. Finally, she speaks. You're lucky, Sergeant. Her voice is gentle, meant to comfort, has the opposite effect. Ghost's jaw tightens. Lucky? My whole squad's dead. And you're alive. That's not luck. That's purpose. You survive for them. You live the life they can't. The words should sound hollow, should sound like the kind of thing people say because they don't know what else to say. But something in her tone makes him look up, makes him really see her. She's not reciting lines. She means it, believes it, carries that belief in the set of her shoulders, in the directness of her gaze. How? How what? How do I live for them? How do I do anything when they're gone and I'm here and it's wrong? It's all wrong. She sits on the edge of his bed, against protocol probably, against the professional distance medical personnel maintain. But she sits anyway, looks him in the eye, speaks truth, by honoring what they died for, by taking care of people, by remembering the code. No one left behind, no one forgotten. Brothers before self. What if I can't? What if I'm not strong enough? Then you get up anyway. You do the next right thing, then the next, then the next. You keep going until one day you realize you're not just surviving anymore. You're living. And that's how you honor them. By living well, by living right, by being the man they believed you were. Ghost stares at her name tag. Thompson. Captain Sarah Thompson. You're a Marine? Army, but I understand the code. My father was a Marine, Korea. He taught me that service doesn't end when the uniform comes off. It's who you are, not what you do. Ghost nods. Can't speak. Emotions too close to the surface. Too raw. Too much. She stands, returns to professional distance, finishes her notes. Your platoon leader was one of mine last night. Thompson. Sergeant Thomas Thompson. Ghost breath catches. That's her husband? Was. He didn't make it. The simple statement carries an ocean of grief. No dramatics, no breakdown, just acceptance. Just the warrior calm of someone who's made peace with loss because the alternative is drowning. I'm sorry, me too. But he died doing what Marines do, protecting his brothers. Can't ask for a better end than that. She walks to the door, pauses, looks back. He talked about you in his letters, said you were the best gunny he'd served under, said if anything happened to him, you'd look after the squad. Guess he was right about the second part. The words land like blows. Thompson talked about him, trusted him, believed in him, and Ghost failed that trust by surviving, by being the one who lived while Thompson died. You survived for a reason, Sergeant. Don't waste it on guilt. She leaves. The door closes. Ghost stares at the ceiling and tries to believe her, tries to think he deserves the air in his lungs, tries to imagine a future where Thompson's death means something other than proof that the universe is random and cruel. 13 years later, he's still trying. The bike eats highway miles, Dylan sleeps, Ghost rides on autopilot while the memory loops. Captain Thompson telling him to live well, to live right, to be the man his squad believed he was. He's failed spectacularly, failed consistently, failed in every way that matters. Can't hold a job, can't maintain a relationship, can't give his son stability, can't make it through a night without the nightmares, can't look in the mirror without seeing Thompson's face twisted in that final moment before the RPG hit. Living well requires being well. Ghost hasn't been well since Helmand. Patches hold him together, duct tape and baling wire and sheer stubbornness. Some days that's enough. Most days it isn't. But Dylan needs him functional, needs him present, needs him to be a father even when Ghost can barely be a person. So he does the next right thing. Keeps the bike running, keeps moving, keeps Dylan fed and safe and as happy as possible given the circumstances. Next right thing, that's what Captain Thompson said. Do the next right thing, then the next, then the next. The next right thing is breakfast. Dylan needs food, real food. Not protein bars from a gas station, actual breakfast. Eggs and toast and maybe bacon if they can afford it. Something warm, something solid, something that says Dad's got this even when Dad doesn't have anything close to this. Sign ahead. Millbrook, Arizona, population 4,200. Next exit. Ghost takes the exit, follows the road into town. Main Street opens up, small, quiet, dying the slow death of places the modern world bypassed. Half the shops are empty. The other half look like they wish they were. Then he sees it. Ray's Diner, 1960s architecture. Neon sign that flickers. Red vinyl visible through the windows. The kind of place that's been here forever. The kind of place that might not be here much longer. Something about it tugs at Ghost. Can't say what. Maybe the vintage Americana aesthetic. Maybe the fact that it looks like it's fighting for survival. Maybe just hunger and fatigue making decisions. Whatever the reason, he pulls into the parking lot, kills the engine. Dylan wakes up, looks around. Where are we? Breakfast. Come on, buddy. They dismount. Ghost's whole body aches. His back, his knee, his soul. Dylan stretches, still too thin, still too quiet, still looking at his father with that careful attention that breaks Ghost's heart. The diner door has a bell. It chimes when they enter. Old school charm, the kind of detail that says someone cares, or used to care, or is trying to care despite everything. The place is empty. Not a soul except the woman behind the counter. She's 40-something, strong posture, tired eyes, wearing an Army veteran cap like she earned it. Probably did. Ghost recognizes the bearing, recognizes the way military service marks you, changes how you stand, how you move, how you see the world. She looks up. Her expression does something complicated. Recognition, maybe, or surprise, or both. She's staring at him like she knows him, like she's seen him before. But Ghost has never been to Millbrook, never been to this diner, never met this woman. Yet something in her face triggers memory, sparks recognition, the slope of her jaw, the set of her shoulders, the particular shade of exhaustion that comes from fighting a war you're losing. Captain Thompson, Camp Leatherneck, 2011, the nurse who told him to live well. His breath catches. Can't be. Too much time, too much distance, too much coincidence. But Ghost learned in the Marines that coincidence doesn't exist. Just patterns you haven't recognized yet. Just connections waiting to surface. Just the universe putting you exactly where you need to be. She approaches. Professional smile. The kind that says she's serving customers, not starting conversations. But her eyes are sharp, assessing, calculating, running the same recognition software Ghost is running. Afternoon, sit anywhere you like, her voice confirms it, that voice. The one that told him to honor his dead by living well. The one that cut through his pain and his guilt and handed him a map he's never managed to follow. He nods. Can't speak yet. Needs a minute. Needs to process. Needs to figure out what the odds are that Thompson's widow runs a diner in the middle of Arizona 13 years after telling Ghost to be the man his squad believed he was. They take a booth in the back. Dylan slides in. Ghost sits across from him. His heart's hammering. Combat stress response. Fight or flight. Body remembering the last time he saw this woman. Body remembering that her husband died saving Ghost's life. Body remembering the weight of debt that can never be repaid. Captain Thompson brings menus. Her eyes linger on Ghost. She's remembering too. Trying to place him. Trying to figure out where she knows his face. 13 years and burn scars and road wear change a person. But some things don't change. Bearing, intensity, the particular way veterans hold themselves. Coffee? Black. Please. She nods, walks away, returns with coffee pot and 2 cups. Pours his first, then fills a second cup. Stands there waiting. Not pushy, just present. Professional. Our meatloaf's good today. 1, please. Ghost looks at Dylan. The kid's thin face. The hunger he's trying to hide. The careful way he's studying the menu even though Ghost knows he can read every word. Dylan's not reading, he's calculating. Figuring out what's cheapest, what's least trouble, what won't make dad stress about money. 9 years old and doing math that no kid should have to do. What about you, son? Dylan's response comes too fast. Practiced. I'm okay, Dad. The words hit like a punch. Ghost hears what his son isn't saying, hears that Dylan's been hungry before, that he's learned to hide it, that he knows his father's struggling and doesn't want it to make it worse. 9 years old and already carrying more weight than he should. Ghost's throat tightens. His eyes burn. This isn't right. Thompson died so his brothers could live. Died so men like Ghost could go home to their kids. Could be fathers. Could provide. Could give their children the childhood Thompson's daughter would never have with her father. And Ghost can't even feed his son breakfast. The shame tastes like copper. Like failure. Like every promise he's broken and every oath he's violated. Like the knowledge that he's wasting the life Thompson gave him. That he's failing the mission. That Thompson pulled him from that fire for nothing. Captain Thompson watches this exchange. Her face stays neutral, but Ghost sees understanding flicker in her eyes. Sees recognition of a different kind. Not recognizing Ghost specifically, recognizing the situation. The father trying, the kid pretending. The weight of poverty that both are carrying. She makes a decision. Ghost sees it happen, sees her shoulders square, sees her move from server to something else, something more. Kid, I was Army. I can spot hungry from a mile out. What do you want to eat? Direct, no pity, just facts. Dylan looks at Ghost, asking permission, asking if it's okay. Ghost nods because he can't speak, because emotions locked his jaw tight. Dylan orders eggs, toast, bacon, the full breakfast. Kid's eyes light up like Christmas, like he's forgotten what it feels like to order real food. Ghost's heart breaks cleanly down the middle. Captain Thompson writes it down, looks at Ghost. Her gaze is steady, knowing she's been here, been the person struggling, been the one doing math about protein bars, been the one lying awake calculating how to make nothing stretch forever. Marines don't let their own go hungry. On the house, Ghost stiffens. Pride flares hot and immediate. We don't need charity. It's not charity, Gunny. It's esprit de corps. You do the same. The rank hits him like a slap. She remembers, knows who he is, knows what he was. Gunnery sergeant, squad leader. The man who survived when her husband didn't. She gestures behind the counter. Ghost follows her pointing finger, sees the photos. Three of them in frames. Ray Thompson in Marine Dress Blues. Korea, 1952. Captain Sarah Thompson in Army ACUs. Desert Storm, 1991. And between them, larger centered, Sergeant Thomas Thompson in Marine combat gear. Afghanistan, 2010. The world tilts. Ghost's vision narrows. That face, that smile, that Marine he couldn't save. The man who pulled him from the fire. The brother who took the rocket meant for others. The debt Ghost can never repay. What unit? 1st Battalion, 6th Marines. Ghost's heart stops. His unit, his squad, his brother. Name? Thompson. Sergeant Thomas Thompson. The diner spins. Ghost grips the table. His burns ache. His knee screams. His chest constricts like someone standing on his ribs. Thomas Thompson, Tommy, the pointman, the joker, the Marine who made everyone feel safer just by being there. The man Ghost recommended for promotion. The brother who saved 6 lives with his last breath. I knew Tom. The words scrape out, raw, broken, carrying 13 years of grief and guilt and rage at a universe that takes good men and leaves survivors who don't deserve the air they breathe. Sarah goes still, completely still, the way people do when they're processing something too big to understand all at once. You served with him? Ghost nods. Can't elaborate. Can't explain. Can't tell her that he watched her husband die. That Tommy pulled him from a burning Humvee. That Tommy's last act was stepping into an RPG to protect a medevac chopper. That Ghost has replayed that moment 10,000 times, wondering if there was anything he could have done differently. A child appears, 12 years old, dark hair. Tom's eyes looking out at the world with that same careful assessment. She's carrying clean silverware, moving through the diner with practiced efficiency, helping because that's what needs doing. She sees Ghost and Dylan, sees her mother standing frozen by their booth, sees something's wrong even if she can't name what. Mom? Sarah snaps back to the present, forces a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. It's fine, Riley, just catching up with an old acquaintance. Riley accepts this, returns to her task, but her eyes linger on Ghost. Curious, assessing, smart kid, Thompson's kid, living proof that Tom died protecting more than just his squad, died protecting the future, died protecting the family he'd never see again. Ghost needs air, needs space, needs to get out of this booth before he breaks down in front of his son and this woman and the ghost of the man he couldn't save. I need to grab something from the bike. Be right back. He stands, moves toward the door. The bell chimes, mocking, cheerful, completely inappropriate for the weight of this moment, for the knowledge that coincidence brought him to the exact diner owned by the widow of the man whose death he carries like shrapnel embedded in his soul. Outside, Ghost grabs his phone. His hands shake. He steadies them through sheer will. Marines don't shake. Marines don't break. Marines do what needs doing regardless of how they feel about it. Dutch answers on the second ring. Ghost? What's up, brother? Ghost's voice comes out steady, controlled. The gunnery sergeant voice that's gotten him through 13 years of hell. I need to call in the favor. Dutch goes serious immediately. Name it. Remember Hellman? 2011, the IED? Yeah. You nearly didn't make it. Tom Thompson pulled me out. Died doing it. I remember the name. His widow's here. Arizona, running her family's diner. It's going under. She's fighting alone. Too proud to ask for help. Ghost takes a breath. His daughter gave my boy her only meal today. 12 years old. Didn't think twice. Just saw Dylan was hungry and shared her sandwich. Long pause. Ghost can hear Dutch thinking, processing, understanding the significance, understanding what Ghost's asking without needing it spelled out. Tom's girl? Yeah. What do you need? I need the brothers, everyone who can ride. We're not giving them money, Dutch. We're giving them what Tom gave me. What's that? A reason to keep fighting? Dutch's voice changes, drops into the tone reserved for mission briefings, for serious operations, for the kind of work that defines what the patch means. You're talking about the Hellman Protocol. Yeah, full rebuild, labor, materials, Brotherhood. That's a major op. Could take weeks. I got weeks. I got the rest of my life. I owe this man everything. When? Dawn, Friday. Give me 48 hours to set it up. Consider it done. I'll make the calls. Thanks, brother. Ghost? This is good. This is what the patch means. You're honoring a fallen Marine. That's what we do. The call ends. Ghost stands in the parking lot holding his phone. The weight's still there. The guilt's still there. Thompson's still dead. But for the first time in 13 years, Ghost has a mission, has a purpose, has something concrete he can do to balance the scales even though they'll never truly balance. He owes Tom Thompson his life. Can't repay that. But he can make sure Thompson's family doesn't lose everything while fighting alone. Can make sure Thompson's daughter doesn't grow up watching her mother drown. Can honor the brother who saved him by saving what that brother left behind. Inside the diner, Dylan's eating. Riley's back in her corner booth doing homework. Sarah's moving through the space with the mechanical efficiency of someone who's been running on fumes for too long. The photos watch from the wall. 3 generations of warriors. 3 generations of service. 3 generations of fighting even when the fight seems lost. Ghost walks back inside. The bell chimes. Sarah looks up. Her eyes are red-rimmed but dry. Thompson women don't cry in public. He learned that from watching her in the hospital. Learned that tears come later, in private, in the dark, where nobody sees. He sits across from Dylan. His son's halfway through eggs and toast and bacon, eating slowly, savoring every bite, making it last. Ghost's chest aches watching him. This is what Tom died for, so kids like Dylan could eat breakfast. So fathers like Ghost could sit with their sons. So the simple acts of living could continue. Sarah approaches with the check. Ghost looks at the total. $8.50, coffee and meatloaf. She didn't charge for Dylan's food, kept her word. Marines taking care of Marines. Ghost pulls out his wallet, counts bills. He's got $31 left. Puts down 30, meets Sarah's eyes. Ma'am. She looks at the money, looks at him. Understanding passes between them. He's not taking charity. He's paying his way. The extra 22 is for the boys' breakfast, for her kindness, for the bridge between 2 warriors who understand loss. This is too much. It's not enough. Your diner struggling? Her pride flares. Ghost sees it, sees her want to deny, want to maintain the fiction that everything's fine. Want to keep fighting alone because that's what Thompsons do. But 13 years of war taught Ghost to recognize when someone's on their last legs, when the fight's almost done, when surrender's coming, whether they admit it or not. We're handling it. Doc, I can see the bills, the empty tables, the pride that won't ask for help. He leans forward, drops his voice so Dylan can't hear, so Riley can't hear. So this stays between 2 veterans who share a bond forged in blood and loss. Tom saved my life. October 2011, IED blast. He pulled me out, stayed behind to cover the evac. He didn't make it. Sarah's breath catches. Her hand grips the edge of the table, knuckles white, but no tears. Warriors don't break, not where people can see. I owe him everything. I owe her everything. Ghost indicates Riley with a slight nod. Sarah follows his gaze, sees her daughter, Tom's daughter. The living proof that Thompson's sacrifice meant something, that his life produced something beautiful and good, even though he's not here to see it. You don't owe us anything. Yeah, I do, and so do my brothers. He stands, walks toward the door, pauses, looks back. We'll be back. Sarah's voice stops him. Ghost? He turns. Tom talked about you in his letters. Said you were the best gunny he ever served under. Said if anything happened to him, you'd look after the squad. Ghost's eyes close briefly. Pain lances through his chest. Sharp, clean, the kind that reminds you you're alive. That the nerve endings still work. That feeling anything is better than the numbness he's worn for 13 years. You survived for a reason, Marcus. Don't waste it on guilt. The same words she spoke in the hospital. The same message, the same mission. Live well, live right. Be the man they believed you were. Ghost nods once. Can't speak. Emotions too close. Too raw. He walks out. The bell chimes. Dylan follows. The bike waits, chrome gleaming in the afternoon sun, patient, reliable, simple. They mount up. Dylan settles into the sidecar. Ghost kicks the engine over. The rumble steadies him, gives him something to focus on besides the storm of feeling threatening to tear him apart. He twists the throttle. They pull out of the parking lot. But this isn't running. This isn't fleeing. This is tactical repositioning, regrouping, preparing for the mission ahead. 2 days until Friday. 2 days to coordinate 400 brothers across 6 states. 2 days to plan the largest operation Ghost led since Helmand. 2 days to honor the debt he owes a man who's been dead for 13 years, but whose sacrifice still echoes through every breath Ghost takes. The highway opens ahead. Miles and miles of asphalt. Miles and miles of distance between what was and what comes next. Ghost rides hard, rides with purpose, rides toward the first real mission he's had since the IED changed everything. Behind him, in a diner that's dying slowly, Sarah Thompson stands at the window, watches the motorcycle disappear. Her hand rests over her heart, over the place where Tom's dog tags hang beneath her shirt. The metal's warm from her skin, constant reminder, constant weight. Riley appears beside her. Mom, who was that? Sarah doesn't answer immediately, doesn't have words for what just happened, for the way her past collided with her present, for the way Tom's ghost walked through her door 13 years late, but exactly on time. Someone your father saved. Someone who remembers what that means. Riley accepts this, returns to her homework. Sarah stands at the window a moment longer, then squares her shoulders, returns to the counter, returns to the fight, returns to doing what Thompsons do. Survive, endure, hold the line. She doesn't know that 400 miles away, phone calls are happening, brothers are answering, the network's activating, the Hellman protocol's in motion, the cavalry's coming. She doesn't know that in 48 hours her world will transform, that her struggle will end, that her husband's legacy will rise from the ashes, that the code Tom died defending will prove itself true. She doesn't know any of this. She just wipes the counter, serves the next customer, counts down the days until the end, does the next right thing, then the next, then the next, just like Captain Thompson told Ghost to do 13 years ago in a hospital bed in Afghanistan. Just like warriors have done since the first human picked up a weapon to protect their tribe. Just like people do when they refuse to quit, even when quitting makes perfect sense. The diner sits quiet. 3 customers all day. The bills pile higher. The end draws closer. But Sarah Thompson doesn't know that sometimes the end is actually the beginning. That sometimes salvation comes from unexpected directions. That sometimes the debts we think we can never repay find their own way of settling. She just holds the line. One more day, one more shift, one more morning of opening that door and flipping those lights and starting that coffee. Because that's what you do. Because that's who Thompsons are. Because warriors don't retreat. They regroup. Friday morning comes, whether you're ready or not. Part 2. Thursday morning breaks cold over Millbrook. Sarah runs through streets empty except for newspaper delivery trucks and the occasional shift worker heading home. 5 miles before dawn. Ritual older than her daughter. Older than her marriage. Discipline hammered into her at Fort Sam Houston when she was 22 and believed the Army could teach her to save everyone. Her feet hit pavement in steady rhythm. Left, right, left, right. The cadence that carried her through basic training and 2 deployments and the night they told her Tom wasn't coming home. Some rhythms you can't unlearn. Some patterns stay in your bones long after the uniform comes off. But today the pace drags. Her legs feel heavy. Her lungs burn after 2 miles. The 3rd mile she slows to a jog. By the 4th, she's barely moving faster than a walk. She stops at Tom's grave as sunrise bleeds across the horizon. Hasn't done this in months. Visiting feels like admitting defeat, like asking a dead man to solve problems he can't fix. The headstone's simple. Government issue. Bronze star and Purple Heart emblem at the top. His name, his dates, his rank. Words that mean everything and nothing. Beloved husband, devoted father, faithful Marine. All true. All inadequate. How do you sum up a life in 3 lines of text? Sergeant Thomas Thompson. United States Marine Corps, 1979 to 2011. Killed in action, Helmand Province. Tom, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Her voice sounds strange in the empty cemetery. Raw, exposed, the kind of vulnerable she doesn't allow anywhere else. Thompson women don't break in public. Save it for graveyards at dawn when nobody's watching. Frank wants me out by tomorrow noon. I've got $147 and need almost $10,000. The math doesn't work. It's never worked. I've been fighting for 3 years and I'm tired. So damn tired. Wind moves through the trees. Birds start their morning chorus. The world wakes up indifferent to her struggle. The sun rises whether you're winning or losing. Time moves forward whether you're ready or not. Riley's strong, like you. But she shouldn't have to be this strong at 12. She shouldn't watch me fail. Shouldn't learn that fighting hard means nothing when the numbers don't add up. Maybe letting go is the right choice. Maybe teaching her when to quit is better than teaching her to die on a hill that doesn't matter. She sits on the grass. Dew soaks through her running pants. Cold seeps into her bones. She said the thing she's been avoiding for months. Maybe it's time to quit. Maybe Thompson pride and warrior stubbornness aren't enough. Maybe some battles can't be won no matter how hard you fight, but that's not how Thompsons operate. Her father's voice echoes in memory. Ray Thompson standing in the same cemetery after her mother died. We don't get to choose when the fight ends. We just choose whether we're standing when it does. Stay on your feet, Sarah. Whatever else happens, stay on your feet. She stands, brushes grass off her pants, looks at Tom's name carved in bronze. He didn't quit when the RPG came. Didn't run, didn't hesitate, just stepped into the blast because that's what Marines do. Protect their brothers. Complete the mission. No matter the cost. If Tom could face an RPG without flinching, Sarah can face Frank Morrison and his eviction notice. She runs the last mile hard, pushes through the fatigue, punishes her body because that's easier than punishing her mind. Returns to the diner as the town starts waking. Showers. Changes. Opens the door at 6:15 exactly because consistency matters even when everything else is falling apart. Riley appears at 7, dressed for school, backpack ready, pretending yesterday was normal. Pretending the stranger with the burn scars didn't shake something loose in her mother. Kids are experts at reading the things adults try to hide. Mom, you okay? Sarah manages a smile. Fine, baby, just a long run. Riley doesn't believe her, but she doesn't push. Thompson women give each other space to carry their weight in private. She eats oatmeal, kisses her mother goodbye, heads to school like today is just another Thursday. Sarah watches her go, memorizes the sight, her daughter walking toward Jefferson Elementary under a sky that promises another hot day. If tomorrow brings eviction and the end of everything, she wants to remember this. Riley's ponytail swinging, her backpack settled on narrow shoulders, the way she moves through the world with Tom's quiet confidence. The phone rings. Sarah knows before answering who it is. Frank Morrison doesn't waste time, doesn't pull punches. That's veteran directness. Vietnam taught him to say what needs saying without wrapping it in courtesy. Sarah, tomorrow, noon, 9,600. Cash or certified check, no extensions. His voice carries no malice, no satisfaction, just finality. The sound of doors closing, options narrowing, time running out. I'll have it. The lie tastes like ash. But what else can she say? I give up? I quit? I'm surrendering the legacy my father built and my husband died defending? Some things you can't speak aloud without making them true. See you tomorrow. He hangs up. Sarah stands in the empty diner holding a dead phone. 29 hours until deadline, $147 in the register, $9,453 short of survival. The math hasn't changed, the miracle hasn't arrived, the cavalry isn't coming. She's alone. Like always, like Thompson women have been since Ray came home from Korea with nightmares and shrapnel. Since Tom shipped out 3 times and came home in a box. Since she stood at Arlington while they played taps and folded the flag and handed her the triangle of fabric like that could replace a husband. Warriors fight alone. It's the nature of the war, the weight you carry because someone has to carry it. The burden you bear because passing it off means watching someone else break under what broke you. Sarah opens the register, counts the money. $147. Same as yesterday, same as tomorrow will be, unless something changes. She closes the drawer, returns to the counter, picks up the rag, starts wiping down surfaces that are already clean. Movement keeps despair at bay. Work prevents thinking. Routine provides structure when everything else is chaos. She doesn't know that 300 miles north, Ghost sits in a motel room with maps spread across the bed. Doesn't know that phone calls are lighting up the Southwest like wildfire. Doesn't know that 487 men are checking their bikes and loading tools and preparing for the largest single-day mobilization the Brotherhood has attempted in a decade. She just wipes the counter, waits for customers who won't come, counts down the hours to the end. Ghost motel room looks like a tactical operations center. Maps cover one bed, lists cover the other. Dylan sleeps in the corner chair wrapped in Ghost leather jacket. Kid can sleep through anything. Necessary skill when your father's planning a military operation at 2 in the morning. Dutch arrived an hour ago, drove straight through from Nevada, brought 3 chapter vice presidents with him. Cisco from Los Angeles, Stone from Phoenix, Bull from El Paso. Veterans all, men who understand what it means when Ghost calls in the Hellman Protocol, men who know this is bigger than rebuilding a diner. Cisco spreads blueprints he sketched from memory after Ghost walked him through the layout on the phone. Not perfect, but close enough for planning. Kitchen here, dining room here, office, storage, bathrooms, electrical panel outside, plumbing access under the floor, gas lines running along the back wall. That electrical's a fire hazard. Panels probably original 1962. Wiring's ancient. Surprised the place hasn't burned down. Ghost nods. We replace everything. Bring it up to code. Commercial grade. She needs capacity for 200 covers. Stone flips through permits on his laptop. County records show no major work since 1987. Means the plumbing's shot too. Water heater's probably older than your kid. Replace it all. New water heater. New pipes where we can access them. New fixtures. This place needs to run for another 60 years. Bull studies the structural notes. Roof's solid. Foundation's good. Building sound. Just needs systems upgraded and cosmetics refreshed. We can do this in 48 hours if we coordinate right. Dutch leans back, crosses his arms. The leather of his vest creaks. He's 62, Vietnam Marine Recon. Seen enough operations to know when one's solid and when it's wishful thinking. This one's ambitious, but doable, if everyone executes. What's our manpower count? Ghost checks his phone. Messages keep coming in. Every text adds to the total. 487 confirmed. Another 60 possibles. 43 from Nevada, 60 from California, 81 from Texas, 55 from New Mexico, 32 from Colorado. The rest scattered across Arizona chapters. Stone whistles. That's a division. That's more bodies than most construction companies have on their entire payroll. We organize them into squads. Specialties. Electricians work with Cisco, plumbers with wrench, carpenters with hammer. Everyone else rotates through labor teams. 3 shifts. 24/7 operation. We don't stop until it's done. Bull grins. You're talking about a Marine Corps combat logistics patrol applied to civilian construction. Ghost meets his eyes. I'm talking about honoring a fallen brother by making sure his family legacy survives. Anyone got a problem with that? Silence answers him. Good silence. The kind that means everyone's on board. Everyone understands the mission. Everyone's willing to do whatever it takes. Cisco goes back to the blueprints. We need materials, commercial kitchen equipment, industrial wiring, copper pipe, 200 feet minimum, drywall, paint, flooring, booth upholstery. This is a $50,000 job minimum. I made calls. Home Depot in Vegas is donating supplies. Cisco in Phoenix is donating kitchen equipment. Local contractors are donating labor supervision and expertise. We bring muscle and coordination. Stone looks up from his laptop. What about the widow? She going to accept this? Ghost's jaw tightens. She's a warrior. She'll fight it. Pride, independence, All the things that make her strong also make her stubborn. But once she understands we're honoring Tom, not pitying her, she'll accept. It's the code. And if she doesn't, then we do it anyway and deal with her anger after. But I'm betting she recognizes what this is. Marines taking care of Marines, veterans helping veterans, brotherhood in action. She served. She understands. Dutch stands, stretches, his back pops. Too many years on bikes, too many miles logged. But he moves like a man half his age when a mission needs executing. All right, we mobilize at 0500. Staging area at the truck stop outside Millbrook. We roll in at 0600. Military formation, discipline. This is not a rally. This is not a party. This is sacred duty. Everyone clear? The VPs nod. They've been through this before. Different circumstances, different reasons, but the same core truth. The brotherhood takes care of its own. The patch means something. The code isn't just words, it's action, sacrifice, showing up when it matters most. Ghost looks at Dylan sleeping in the corner. His son's face is peaceful in sleep, innocent, trusting, believing his father will figure things out, believing tomorrow will be better than today. Kids shouldn't have that kind of faith in broken men. But Dylan does, and Ghost is determined not to break that faith. Not again, not anymore. This isn't just about Tom. It's about being the man Ghost should have been all along. The father Dylan deserves. The Marine Thompson died believing he was. Some debts can't be repaid, but they can be honored. They can be carried forward. They can become the reason you finally start living instead of just surviving. The planning continues into the night. Squad assignments, material deliveries, coordination with local law enforcement, media management, every detail mapped, every contingency plan. Ghost learned in Afghanistan that successful operations require meticulous preparation, that hoping for the best gets people killed, that Murphy's Law is real and the only way to beat it is to plan for everything. By 4 in the morning, they're ready. The mission is solid, the manpower is committed, the materials are staged. All that remains is execution. Ghost finally sleeps. 2 hours, enough to take the edge off, enough to function. Marines learn to operate on no sleep, learn to push through exhaustion, learn that the mission comes first and personal comfort comes never. He dreams of Thompson, not the explosion this time, something different. Thompson grinning in that way he had, that easy confidence, that unshakable belief that everything would work out if you just did the right thing. In the dream, Thompson speaks. You got this, Gunny. You got this. Ghost wakes at 0530. Dutch is already up, already coordinating, already moving pieces into position. The machine is in motion. The operation has begun. There's no stopping it now, no calling it off, no retreat, just forward momentum, just the mission, just honoring what Thompson died defending. Dylan wakes up, rubs his eyes. Where are we going, Dad? To do something important, something your Uncle Tom would want us to do. The kid doesn't ask more questions. He's learned not to. Learned to trust his father even when his father doesn't trust himself. They dress, pack, head out to meet the dawn. Thursday night turns into Friday morning in stages. The bikers gather at truck stops and rest areas. They fuel up. They check their machines. They read the messages coming through the network. The mission briefing, the operational parameters, the reason they're riding. Tom Thompson's name spreads through the brotherhood like a prayer, like a battle cry, like the answer to a question they've all been asking. What's the patch for? What does brotherhood mean? When does it matter? Now, it matters now for this widow, for this diner, for this fallen Marine. For the idea that service doesn't end when you take off the uniform, that some debts transcend death, that the code is real and living and demands action. They ride in darkness, headlights cutting through the black, engines rumbling in formation, miles disappearing beneath tires. The distance between where they are and where they need to be shrinking with every revolution, with every mile marker, with every hour closer to dawn. State troopers watch them pass, call it in, compare notes. Unusual activity, large groups, organized, disciplined, no signs of trouble. Just bikers riding with purpose towards some destination in Arizona. Sheriff Bradley gets the calls around 2 in the morning. His phone rings. State police. Multiple reports of motorcycle groups converging on Millbrook. Numbers ranging from 200 to 500. All heading his direction. All arriving by dawn. He calls Ghost. The number Ghost gave him Wednesday. Marine to Marine courtesy. The call wakes Ghost from his 2-hour nap. Bradley here. You want to tell me why my town's about to be invaded by 500 bikers? Ghost's voice comes clear despite the hour. No sleep hangover, just immediate focus. Marines train for that. Not an invasion, Sheriff. A construction crew. We're rebuilding Sarah Thompson's diner, honoring her husband, Tom Thompson, killed in action, Helmand Province, 2011. Bradley goes quiet. Processes. Tom Thompson, he knew that name. Served with Tom in Ambar, 2004. Before Tom went back for his final tour. Before Helmand. Before the flag and the funeral and the widow left holding everything together alone. Tom Thompson's widow. That's Sarah's husband? Yes, sir, I served with him. He saved my life, died doing it. I'm paying that debt forward, with help from my brothers. How many brothers we talking about? 487 confirmed, possibly more. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, that's an army. That's a construction crew, Sheriff. We'll be coordinated, organized, no trouble. We register with your office at 0700. Full cooperation with local law enforcement. This is about honoring a Marine, nothing else. Bradley sighs, can hear the exhaustion, can hear the stress, but also something else, understanding, maybe, respect. The recognition that this is exactly what the military community should be doing, taking care of its own, showing up when it matters, being the safety net when all other nets have failed. I'll have deputies monitoring. Any problems, and we shut it down. Understood. Semper Fi, Sheriff. Semper Fi. The call ends. Bradley sits in his office staring at dispatch reports. 500 bikers, coming to rebuild a diner, coming to honor a fallen Marine, coming to save a widow who's been fighting alone for 3 years. It's the most beautiful thing he's heard in a decade of law enforcement. It's also terrifying from a public safety standpoint. He calls his deputies, briefs them, tells them to stand ready but not interfere, tells them this is veterans helping veterans, tells them that unless something goes sideways, they observe and assist but don't obstruct. This is the kind of thing Millbrook needs, the kind of story that restores faith, the kind of action that reminds people what community means. His deputies agree. Some are veterans themselves. Some have family who served. All of them recognize the significance. All of them want to see this work. The night deepens, the bikers ride, the distance closes. Ghost checks his phone obsessively. Updates coming in. Nevada crew 30 minutes out. California crew 45 minutes out. Texas coalition an hour out. Everyone converging, everyone on schedule, everyone committed. Dylan sleeps in the sidecar. Ghost rides through darkness toward dawn, toward the moment when everything changes, toward the mission that will define whether Thompson's sacrifice meant something or whether Ghost has wasted 13 years drowning in guilt that should have been converted to action long ago. Thursday evening, Sarah closes the diner at 9. Last customer left an hour ago. She stayed open out of habit, out of routine, out of the stubborn refusal to admit defeat before the deadline actually arrives. But now darkness presses against the windows. The building feels bigger when it's empty, lonelier, more aware of its own mortality. She counts the register. $163, 16 more than yesterday. Mr. Patterson came in for lunch. Sheriff Bradley had coffee twice. Mrs. Chen bought pie to go. Small mercies, small gestures, not nearly enough, but something. Proof that the community still remembers, even if remembering doesn't pay the bills. Riley's upstairs already, homework done, ready for bed. Sarah should join her, should try to sleep. But sleep requires surrender. Requires accepting that tomorrow brings the end. That Frank Morrison will walk through that door at noon and nothing she can do will stop what comes next. She sits in the office instead, the small room her father used. The desk where he balanced books for 40 years. The filing cabinet full of receipts and permits and licenses that span 6 decades. 3 generations of Thompsons keeping this place alive through wars and recessions and the slow erosion of small-town America. The eviction notice sits on top, final and absolute, $9,600 by Friday noon. No extensions, no negotiation, no mercy, just math. Cold and indifferent math that doesn't care about legacy or sacrifice or families fighting to survive. Sarah picks up her phone. Frank's number already queued. Her thumb hovers over the call button. One press and it's over. One conversation and she surrenders. Admits defeat. Accepts that fighting for 3 years wasn't enough. That holding the line until her arms shook and her legs gave out wasn't enough. That Thompson pride and warrior stubbornness couldn't overcome simple economics. Her hand shakes. The phone trembles. Her vision blurs with tears she won't let fall. Not yet. Not while there's still light. Not while surrender hasn't been spoken aloud. She tries to press call. Can't. Her thumb won't complete the motion. Some part of her brain refuses the command. Refuses to make the choice that ends everything. The phone slips from her hand. Hits the desk. Bounces. Falls to the floor. Sarah slides down the wall. Lands hard on the worn carpet her father installed in 1987. Her knees pull up. Her arms wrap around them. Her forehead presses against her knees. And for the first time in 3 years of fighting, she breaks. Not crying, not yet, just shaking, trembling with the accumulated weight of carrying too much for too long. The burden of being strong when strong isn't enough. The exhaustion of holding up a roof that's collapsing anyway. The knowledge that she's failed her father, failed Tom, failed Riley, failed everyone who believed Thompson women don't quit. Except she is quitting. Tomorrow at noon, when Frank walks through that door and she has nothing to give him. When the math proves impossible. When the legacy dies not with a bang, but with a whimper. With a middle-aged widow sitting on the floor of an office crying because she's out of options and out of time and out of miracles. The sobs come, silent, brutal, shaking her body without making sound. Thompson women don't cry where others can hear. So she cries alone, in the dark, in the empty office of a dying diner. Lets 3 years of held tension release. Lets the warrior mask slip. Lets herself be human instead of hero, weak instead of strong, broken instead of intact. 5 minutes. She allows herself 5 minutes of complete collapse. 5 minutes to feel everything she's been pushing down. The grief for Tom, the fear for Riley, the shame of failing, the rage at a universe that takes good men and leaves good women to drown. 5 minutes to be lost. Then she stands, wipes her face with rough hands, picks up the phone, returns it to the desk, straightens her shoulders, rebuilds the mask, becomes Sarah Thompson again. Warrior, mother, the woman who doesn't break where people can see. She walks upstairs, checks on Riley. Her daughter sleeps peaceful, innocent, unaware that tomorrow brings the end. Sarah stands in the doorway watching her breathe, memorizing the sight. Riley at 12. Before the world taught her that hard work isn't enough, that fighting smart and giving everything doesn't guarantee victory, that sometimes you lose despite doing everything right. Tomorrow Sarah will have to explain that. Will have to tell her daughter they're leaving, that the diner is over, that Grandpa's legacy dies with them, that Tom's sacrifice didn't protect them after all, that warriors lose too. But tonight she just watches her daughter sleep, stores the memory, holds on to this last moment of before everything changes, before the end comes. She goes to her own room, doesn't undress, just lies on the bed fully clothed, stares at the ceiling, doesn't sleep, can't sleep, just waits for dawn, for Friday. For the deadline that's been rushing toward her like a train, and she's tied to the tracks and no one's coming to cut her loose. Outside, the stars wheel overhead. The town sleeps. Main Street lies empty and dark. Nothing moves, nothing stirs, just the quiet before the storm, the calm before everything changes, the last hours of before. And 300 miles north, 487 motorcycles are moving through the darkness, converging, closing the distance, bringing thunder and salvation and proof that the code is real. But Sarah doesn't know that. She just lies in the dark, counting down the hours, waiting for the end. Friday morning. 5:45. Sarah's alarm sounds. She lies in bed staring at the ceiling. Today's the day. Frank's deadline, the end of everything unless a miracle occurs. She stopped believing in miracles when the chaplain knocked on her door, when they handed her the flag, when they explained that Tom died a hero and she should be proud. Proud doesn't pay rent. Proud doesn't save the diner. Proud doesn't change math that refuses to balance. She gets up anyway, showers, dresses, doesn't run this morning. Can't face Tom's grave again. Can't admit out loud that she's giving up. Some failures need silence. Some defeats come quiet. Riley's door is closed. Sarah doesn't wake her. Let the kids sleep. Let her have a few more hours of normal before everything changes. Before they have to figure what comes next. Before Sarah has to explain that fighting hard sometimes isn't enough. She goes downstairs. The diner waits. Dark. Quiet. Holding 60 years of history in its bones. Her grandfather's dream. Her father's legacy. Her husband's memory. All of it about to end because capitalism doesn't care about sentiment. Because landlords need money. Because the universe is indifferent to human struggle. Sarah flips the lights. They flicker. Almost don't catch. Then illuminate the space that's been her whole world for 3 years. The counter where she served 10,000 cups of coffee. The booths where families used to gather. The walls covered in photos of better days. All of it about to become memory. All of it about to be someone else's problem. She starts the coffee. The smell fills the empty diner. Rich, familiar, comforting. She pours herself a cup, sits at the counter, looks at the photos. Her father, herself, Tom. 3 generations, 3 wars, 3 warriors who believed service mattered. Who believed showing up made a difference. Who believed the code was real. Maybe they were wrong. Maybe the code is just pretty words people say to make loss bearable. Maybe service is just what you do when you don't know what else to do. Maybe warriors die for nothing and widows struggle alone and legacies crumble because that's how the world works. She drinks her coffee, waits for nothing, prepares for the end. Outside, the sun hasn't risen yet. The town sleeps. Main Street lies empty. Nothing moves, nothing changes. Just another Friday morning in Millbrook. Just another day in the slow death of small-town America. Then the sound starts. Distant at first, low rumble, like thunder on a clear day, like an earthquake that hasn't arrived yet, like something massive moving through the darkness toward dawn. Sarah hears it through the walls, through the windows, through the floor, a vibration that builds, that grows, that becomes more than sound, becomes presence, becomes inevitability. She stands, walks to the window, looks out at Main Street, sees nothing yet, but the sound keeps growing, keeps building, keeps promising something she can't name but recognizes anyway. The first bike appears at 6:07, single headlight cutting through pre-dawn gray. Then another, then 10, then 50, then more than she can count. A river of chrome and leather and rumbling engines, filling the street, filling the parking lot, filling every available space with machines and men. They park in formation, organized, disciplined, military precision, 400 bikes, 500, more still coming. The sound is deafening, the presence overwhelming, the sight impossible. Sarah's hand goes to her throat, her legs weaken. She grabs the counter for support. This can't be real, can't be happening. 500 bikers showing up at her diner at dawn doesn't make sense, doesn't fit any framework she understands. The engine shut down in waves, starting from the front, rolling back through the formation, each silence adding to the weight of the moment, adding to the significance, adding to the knowledge that whatever this is, it matters. It's huge. It's going to change everything. Ghost dismounts first. Dutch beside him, Stone, Cisco, Bull, the leadership team. They walk toward the diner with purpose, with mission focus, with the bearing of men who know exactly what they're doing and why. Sarah steps outside. The cold morning air hits her face. She's still wearing her father's veteran cap. Still standing straight, still refusing to break even though her world just tilted on its axis. Ghost stops 10 feet away, snaps to attention, salutes. Captain Thompson, Gunnery Sergeant Marcus Donovan, United States Marine Corps. Sarah's military training overrides her confusion. She returns the salute. Her hand moves automatically. Muscle memory from decades ago, the gesture that says, I recognize you. I respect you. We're the same. Donovan. Ma'am, I'm here on behalf of the Brotherhood to request permission to honor Sergeant Tom Thompson. Her voice barely works. How? By ensuring his legacy survives, by making sure his family doesn't fight alone. Ghost turns, gestures to the 500 men standing at ease behind him. These are Tom's brothers. They've come to pay respects, not with words, with action. Sarah stares at the sea of leather and patches and weathered faces. Veterans. Most of them. Maybe all of them. Men who understand loss, who understand service, who understand that some debts transcend death. I don't understand. Dutch steps forward. Ma'am, William Keller, Marine Recon, Vietnam. On behalf of the Brotherhood, we request permission to restore this establishment to operational capacity. The words penetrate slowly. Restore. Operational capacity. They're not here to eat, not here to pay respects with flowers and prayers. They're here to work, to rebuild, to save what Sarah's been fighting alone to preserve. Cisco adds his voice. Ma'am, we brought electricians, plumbers, carpenters, equipment. We're here to work. I can't pay you. Ghost's voice cuts through. We're not asking for payment. Your husband paid in blood. This is us settling that debt. Tom Thompson pulled me out of a burning Humvee, gave his life doing it. I owe him everything. These men owe their brothers everything. We're here to make sure his family legacy doesn't die. Sarah's composure shatters, not crying yet, but shaking, trembling. The weight of 3 years fighting alone suddenly lifted. The burden shared. The knowledge that she's not abandoned, not forgotten, not facing the end alone. He'd be so proud. The words barely make it out, but Ghost hears them, nods, believes them, needs them. He's watching, and he knows. Now, Captain, do we have your permission to begin operations? Sarah tries to speak. Can't. Emotion chokes her. 3 years of holding everything together. 3 years of warrior strength. 3 years of refusing to break. All of it crumbling under the weight of unexpected grace, unearned mercy. Brotherhood showing up exactly when hope died. She nods. Can't manage words. But the gesture is enough. Ghost turns to 500 men. His voice carries, commands, leads. Fall in, mission is go. The roar that answers shakes the street. Tools appear. Equipment emerges from saddlebags and trailers. Ladders, drills, saws, toolboxes. Everything needed to tear down and rebuild, to restore and renew, to take what's dying and make it live. The machine activates. Squads form. Cisco leads electricians toward the panel. Wrench takes plumbers to assess water systems. Hammer organizes carpenters. Painters grab their supplies. Kitchen specialists head inside to evaluate equipment. 500 men moving with purpose, with coordination, with the discipline of a military operation applied to civilian construction. Chaos that's actually order, noise that's actually music, destruction that's actually creation. Sarah stands in the middle of it, frozen, overwhelmed, unable to process what's happening. Her diner is being invaded by an army that's here to save it. Her husband's brothers have shown up 13 years late, but exactly on time. The miracle she stopped believing in is happening in real time with power tools and leather vests. Riley appears, comes running from the apartment, still in pajamas, hair wild from sleep. She stops dead seeing the scene. 500 bikers, her mother standing in the middle, tools and equipment everywhere. The organized chaos of a mission in progress. Mom, what's happening? Sarah pulls her daughter close. Can't explain, can't articulate. Can't make sense of it herself yet. Just holds Riley. Watches 500 men honor a Marine they never met by saving what that Marine left behind. Something good, baby. Something your father would want. Something that proves the code is real. Ghost watches from the corner, watches Sarah hold her daughter, watches Riley's confusion turn to wonder, watches the moment when Tom Thompson's family realizes they're not alone anymore, that the brotherhood means something, that service doesn't end at the grave, that some debts get paid forward through action and sweat and showing up when it matters most. Dylan finds him, stands beside his father, looking up with those serious eyes. Dad, why are all the uncles here? To pay a debt, son, to honor a hero, to make sure his family knows that sacrifice isn't forgotten, that warriors take care of their own, that some things matter more than money or convenience or comfort. Like the sandwich? Exactly like the sandwich Riley gave when she had nothing. Now we give because we have everything, because Tom gave us the chance to give. That's how it works. That's the code. Dylan nods, processes, understands more than a 9-year-old should. But that's what happens when you grow up watching your father fight demons. You learn that some battles are internal, that some wars don't end when the shooting stops, that healing comes through action, through service, through being the person others need you to be, even when you can barely be a person at all. The sun rises over Millbrook, illuminates 500 bikers transforming a dying diner into something new, into something alive, into proof that brotherhood isn't just a word on a patch. It's showing up. It's doing the work. It's honoring the fallen by protecting what they died defending. Sarah Thompson stands in the middle of it all, still shaking, still processing, still unable to fully believe this is real. But the noise is real. The presence is real. The transformation happening in real time is undeniably, impossibly, miraculously real. Frank Morrison's deadline is in 6 hours. Sarah has $163 and needs $9,600. The math still doesn't work. But math is just numbers. And what's happening here transcends numbers, transcends money, transcends everything except the simple truth that warriors don't leave their people behind. Ever. Part 3, Cisco's squad hits the electrical panel first. 30 years of amateur repairs and code violations stare back at them. Wiring that should have been replaced in 1990. Breakers rated for loads that stopped being safe before Dylan was born. The kind of disaster waiting to happen that keeps electrical inspectors awake at night. Strip it. All of it. We're going commercial grade. His team moves like surgical precision. 12 electricians, veterans all. Men who wired forward operating bases in Iraq, who ran power to field hospitals in Afghanistan, who understand that good electrical work saves lives because fires kill. Tools appear, wire strippers, voltage testers, conduit benders. The panel comes off the wall. Ancient wiring gets tagged and cut. New lines run through walls that haven't been opened since Kennedy was president. Every connection tested, every junction box secured, every wire color-coded and labeled because doing it right the first time beats doing it twice. Inside the kitchen, Wrench surveys plumbing that belongs in a museum. The water heater stamp says 1987, 38 years running on borrowed time. Pipes show corrosion. Fixtures leak. The grease trap probably violates 6 health codes. He pulls out his phone, takes photos, sends them to the group chat with a single word. Condemned. His squad laughs. Dark humor, the kind that comes from seeing worse. From fixing problems in places where fixing them wrong meant people died. This is just a diner, just civilian work. But the stakes feel higher because it's personal, because Tom Thompson's name is attached, because Ghost called in, the debt and debts get paid in full. New water heaters already staged outside. Commercial unit. Rated for continuous use. Built to last 40 years. They disconnect the old one, wrestle it out, maneuver the new one into position, connect supply lines, test pressure, fire it up. Hot water flows in minutes. Next comes the grease trap, the nightmare every plumber hates. Decades of accumulated sludge. The smell hits like a weapon. Wrench doesn't flinch, just masks up, gloves up. Does the job nobody wants because somebody has to, and he's the one in charge. His squad respects that. Officers who work alongside enlisted earn loyalty that can't be ordered. Leaders who do the dirty work get followed into hell. Wrench cleans the grease trap himself, doesn't delegate, doesn't complain, just handles it. then helps his team run new drain lines and upgrade fixtures and install a proper commercial dishwashing station. By noon, the kitchen's unrecognizable. New equipment everywhere. Industrial refrigeration. 6-burner range with double ovens. Commercial sink with triple basins. Stainless steel prep tables. The kind of setup that could handle 200 covers on a Saturday night. The kind of upgrade Sarah couldn't afford in 3 lifetimes of saving. Hammer's carpentry squad tears out booth upholstery that's been patched more times than anyone can count. The frames are solid. Ray Thompson built quality in 1962, but the vinyl's shot, foam's compressed, springs poke through. They strip everything down to wood, sand the frames, refinish them, install new foam, stretch new vinyl. Red, classic diner aesthetic, but fresh, new, ready for another 60 years of service. The floor presents challenges. Linoleum laid over hardwood. Multiple layers from multiple decades, each generation adding instead of replacing. Hammer's team peels it all back, discovers original 1962 hardwood underneath. Oak, beautiful grain, buried under 50 years of shortcuts and cost-cutting. We're saving this. They sand carefully, preserve what Ray built, strip away what time added, expose the bones of the original vision. The wood glows under their attention, accepts stain, takes polyurethane, becomes something precious again, something worthy of the legacy it represents. Painters work walls while carpenters work floors. Cream base, red trim, classic color scheme. But fresh paint transforms space, makes decades of wear disappear, covers water stains and grease marks and the slow accumulation of neglect that comes from not having money for maintenance. They work around each other. Coordinated chaos. One squad finishes a section and another moves in. No wasted motion, no standing around. 500 men executing a plan that Ghost mapped down to 15-minute increments. Military precision applied to civilian problems. The kind of efficiency that makes impossible tasks become merely difficult. Sarah watches from the corner. Can't help. Can't contribute. Too many people. Too much happening. She'd just be in the way. So she stands, observes, processes the impossible made real through collective action and brotherhood that transcends reason. Riley stays close, asking questions, getting answers from patient men who take time to explain. Electricians teaching her about circuits, plumbers explaining water pressure, carpenters demonstrating joinery. Education happening in real time because warriors understand the importance of teaching the next generation. Dylan shadows Ghost, learning, absorbing, watching his father command with quiet authority, watching 500 men respond to direction that comes without shouting, without threats, without anything except competence and respect earned through action. This is who his father is when the demons aren't winning. This is Ghost when purpose overrides pain, when mission focus narrows the world down to objectives and timelines and coordinating human effort toward common goals. Dylan files it away, stores the memory, proof that his father is more than the broken man who wakes up screaming, more than the struggling parent who can't always provide, more than the survivor drowning in guilt. His father is a leader, a gunnery sergeant, a Marine who knows how to motivate and organize and execute. The patch isn't decoration. The rank isn't nostalgia. It's identity. It's capability. It's who Marcus Donovan becomes when something matters enough to override the darkness. News vans arrive by 1 o'clock. Channel 7 from Phoenix, Channel 12 from Tucson, CNN affiliate. Local papers. Word spread fast. 500 bikers descending on a small town makes news. 500 bikers rebuilding a veteran widow's diner makes headlines. Cameras capture everything. The organized chaos, the military precision, the way 500 men coordinate without apparent leadership, because leadership is so distributed and competent that orders become unnecessary. Everyone knows their role. Everyone executes. Everyone contributes. Reporter Karen Wells approaches Ghost during a coordination meeting with squad leaders. Can I ask you some questions? Ghost's instinct says no. Hates cameras, hates attention, prefers operating in shadows where the past doesn't follow. But this isn't about him. This is about Tom, about Sarah, about making sure the world understands what brotherhood means, what service demands, what happens when warriors remember their code. Make it quick. We're on a timeline. Why did you organize this? Didn't organize anything. Tom Thompson organized this 13 years ago when he pulled me from a burning vehicle. We're just executing his plan. Can you explain? Ghost's jaw tightens. The memory always hurts, always will, but pain is just information, just proof you're alive, just the price of carrying what needs carrying. Helmand Province, 2011. IED hit our convoy. Tom pulled me out, stayed behind to protect the medevac, took an RPG that would have killed 6 men. He died so we could live. This is us living well, living right, being worthy of his sacrifice. The camera catches the moisture in Ghost's eyes, catches the way his voice roughens, catches authentic emotion that can't be faked. The kind of moment that makes viewers lean forward, that makes them believe, that makes them remember why they salute flags and stand for anthems and teach their children that service matters. What do you want people to understand? That brotherhood is real, that veterans take care of veterans, that the code isn't just words, it's action. It's showing up when someone needs you. It's honoring the fallen by protecting what they died defending. No one left behind doesn't stop at the battlefield. It follows you home. It lasts forever. The interview airs within the hour, goes viral by dinner. Clips spread across social media faster than anyone can track. Twitter explodes. Facebook shares multiply. TikTok makes Ghost a hero to a generation that's never met him. The hashtag trends worldwide. Brotherhood, no one left behind. Semper Fi, Marine Code. Comments flood in. Thousands, then tens of thousands. Stories from veterans who needed this reminder, from military families struggling alone, from people who forgot that communities still show up, that humans still care, that sacrifice still matters. Millbrook residents venture out as shock wears off. Mrs. Chen brings flowers, apologizes for locking her door in fear, says she judged too quickly, asks what she can do to help. Feed them. 500 men need lunch. Her restaurant mobilizes, prepares food, delivers to the diner, refuses payment. This is her contribution, her way of honoring Tom, her apology for years of watching Sarah struggle without offering help. Mr. Patterson shows up with supplies from his hardware store, sandpaper, nails, caulk, things the bikers didn't bring because they couldn't anticipate every need. He hands it over, waves away thanks, says Tom once helped him carry lumber when his back went out, says debt never expires, says Millbrook takes care of its own even when it forgets that sometimes. More residents follow. The bakery brings bread, the grocery donates drinks, the coffee shop provides gallons of coffee. The town that was dying finds life in collective action, in coming together, in remembering what communities do when they remember community is a verb. Sheriff Bradley coordinates traffic, keeps gawkers moving, protects the work zone. His deputies stop complaining about the overtime, start contributing, directing cars, answering questions, explaining to confused tourists that something beautiful is happening and their group is protecting it. By 6 Friday evening, the transformation is undeniable. Kitchen gutted and rebuilt, dining room refinished and restored, electrical upgraded to commercial standards, plumbing replaced throughout, floors gleaming, paint fresh, booths like new. The building looks like it did in 1962 when Ray cut the ribbon. Looks like it should look, like the legacy it represents. But they're not done. Won't be done until everything works, until every system tests perfect, until Sarah can walk in Monday morning and serve 200 customers without a single malfunction or code violation or safety concern. Ghost enforces brakes, makes squads rotate, forces men to eat and rest because exhausted people make mistakes, and mistakes in construction cause injuries. He learned that in the Corps. Learned that pushing too hard breaks people, that sustainable pace wins marathons, that leaders who burn out their teams lose respect and effectiveness. Dutch pulls him aside at 7. You need rest too. I'll rest when it's done. You'll collapse before it's done. You've been going since Thursday. That's 40 hours. Even Marines need sleep. Ghost wants to argue, wants to push through, wants to prove he can do this, can lead this, can be worthy of the trust Tom placed in him 13 years ago. But Dutch is right. Exhaustion is setting in. Decisions are getting harder. Coordination is slipping. He's becoming a liability instead of an asset. 2 hours. I'll sleep 2 hours. 4, and that's an order. Ghost bristles, then remembers. Dutch outranks him. Vietnam Marine Recon versus Gunnery Sergeant Iraq. The hierarchy holds even outside the uniform, even in civilian life. Even when every instinct says keep pushing. 4 hours, but you're in command. Anything happens, you wake me. Deal. Ghost finds Dylan curled up in the sidecar. Kid's been asleep for hours. Good. Children shouldn't have to witness this level of intensity, shouldn't have to watch their fathers operate at maximum capacity, should just sleep and trust and wake up to a world that's better because adults handled the hard parts. He stretches out next to the bike, uses his jacket as pillow, closes his eyes, expects nightmares, expects the usual flashbacks and burning Humvees in Thompson's face in that final moment. Gets dreamless, black instead, the deep sleep of complete exhaustion, the reset that comes when body and mind both surrender to necessity. 4 hours vanish in what feels like 4 seconds. Then Dutch is shaking him awake. Time, Gunny, and you need to see this. Ghost stands, joints protest, back aches, knee throbs. 48 years old and feeling every mile he's ever ridden, every injury he's ever sustained, every scar he's ever earned. But he's functional, rested enough to lead again, ready enough to finish what they started. He follows Dutch into the diner, stops dead just inside the door. It's perfect, better than perfect. The space glows, gleaming floors reflect new lighting. Fresh paint brightens every surface. The military memorial corner that someone added while Ghost slept features Ray, Sarah, and Tom's photos under spotlights. Below them a plaque. 3 generations, 3 wars, 1 code. Service, sacrifice, brotherhood. Ghost's throat closes. This is what they died defending. This is why Thompson pulled him from that fire. Not so Ghost could survive. So this could survive. So legacy could continue. So the next generation could inherit something worth inheriting. Sarah stands at the counter, running her hand along the new surface, testing equipment, opening refrigerators, checking the new commercial dishwasher. Her face shows disbelief, wonder, gratitude too big for words. Riley explores booths, sits in each one, tests the new vinyl, runs her fingers along refinished wood. She's 12 years old and watching her mother's dream resurrect in real time, watching 500 strangers become family, learning that the world can still be good when people remember goodness requires action. Frank Morrison walks through the door at midnight, black Mercedes in the lot, expensive suit despite the hour. He stops just inside, surveys the transformation, doesn't speak for a full minute, just looks, absorbs, processes what 500 men accomplished in 18 hours. Finally, he approaches Sarah. She stiffens, ready for confrontation, ready for him to demand his money, ready for the fight she's been avoiding all day because the work has been too important to interrupt with financial reality. Frank pulls out papers, the eviction notice, the payment demand, the legal threats that have dominated her stress for weeks. He tears them in half, then quarters, then confetti. There is no debt. Sarah stares, unable to parse what she's hearing. The deadline is 12 hours away. The amount is still $9,600. The math hasn't changed even if everything else has. I'm transferring building ownership to you. Free and clear. No charge. No conditions. The diner is yours. We are making the stain COR. Frank sits at the counter, suddenly looks older than his 72 years. Vietnam shows in his posture, in the way his shoulders carry weight that never quite lifts, in the eyes that have seen too much and can't unsee any of it. 26 years ago, I was where you are. Construction business going under. Couldn't pay bills. Too proud to ask for help. Ready to lose everything rather than admit I needed saving. He pauses. The memory clearly costs him something. Some portion of the pride he's rebuilt over decades of success. Hell's Angels member broke down outside my shop. I fixed his bike for free, gave him lunch, told him I was closing anyway, so why charge? 2 days later, 50 bikers showed up. Everyone needed work. Everyone paid triple rate. They saved my business. Sarah's expression shifts, understanding dawning. Frank's not the enemy, never was. He's been testing her, pushing her, trying to see if she'd break or bend or hold the line like warriors do. I became successful because brothers I'd never met showed up when I needed them most. They taught me that asking for help isn't weakness, that accepting assistance isn't failure, that warriors who refuse support end up dead. He slides the deed across the counter. Signed, notarized, legal. But I got greedy, forgot the lesson, became the kind of man who'd evict a veteran widow. Your daughter reminded me what I'd forgotten, what brotherhood means, what service demands. This building was always going to be yours. I just needed to know you were strong enough to accept it. Sarah's hands shake as she picks up the deed. Property ownership, the legacy her father built, the dream her husband died defending. All of it secured not through her fighting alone, but through accepting that fighting alone was never the mission, that warriors operate in units, that no one succeeds in isolation. Frank stands, extends his hand, Sarah takes it. The handshake between veterans who understand that strength sometimes looks like surrender, that accepting help requires more courage than refusing it, that pride is only valuable when it doesn't destroy you. My son was a Marine, came home from Afghanistan with demons he couldn't fight. I didn't know how to help, didn't understand PTSD. Thought he just needed to man up, get over it, move on. His voice breaks, raw pain surfacing, the kind that never heals, just scabs over until something tears it open again. He killed himself in 2015, left a note saying he couldn't live with the guilt, couldn't forgive himself for surviving when his brothers didn't, couldn't carry the weight alone. Frank looks at Ghost, recognition passing between them. Two men who understand survivor's guilt, who know what it costs to breathe when others don't, who carry the specific burden of living when death might have been easier. If I'd known then what I know now, I'd have forced him to accept help. I'd have made him talk, made him see that asking for support isn't failure, that warriors who refuse backup die needlessly. He walks to the door, pauses, looks back. Tom Thompson saved this country something precious when he died. He saved the kind of men who show up, who do the work, who honor debts that can't be repaid any other way. Don't waste his sacrifice being too proud to accept what he died protecting. The door closes behind him. Sarah collapses into a booth, not crying, beyond crying, processing trauma release that comes when long fights end, when impossible burdens lift, when the universe proves that grace exists even when you stop believing. Ghost approaches carefully, sits across from her, gives her space to feel what she's feeling without requiring her to explain or justify or minimize. You okay, Captain? She looks up. Tom's dog tags visible around her neck, worn beneath her shirt for 13 years. Constant weight, constant reminder, constant connection to the man who left her too soon but never really left at all. He'd be so proud of you, of all this, of what you did for his family. I didn't do anything. Twain did this 13 years ago when he decided 6 lives mattered more than his own. We're just finishing what he started. Saturday morning brings completion. Final touches, last systems tested, kitchen equipment fired up and running, dining room furniture arranged, memorial corner perfect, every light functioning, every faucet flowing, every surface cleaned and polished and ready. Ghost does final walkthrough with Sarah, checking every detail, making sure nothing was missed, ensuring that when she opens Monday morning, everything works, everything lasts, everything honors the legacy they've rebuilt together. New espresso machine, commercial grade, donated by a coffee supplier who heard the story and wanted to contribute. Sarah touches it like she's afraid it might disappear, like miracles might have expiration dates. This is too much. It's exactly right. Tom deserves his widow having the tools to succeed, deserves his daughter seeing that fighting hard gets rewarded, deserves his legacy having every advantage going forward. They reach the memorial corner, the photos under lights, the plaque, fresh flowers that someone added. 3 generations of Thompson warriors watching over the space their sacrifice made possible. Ghost kneels, eye level with Tom's photo, the grin, the confidence, the absolute certainty that everything would work out if you just did the right thing. I finally did it, brother. Finally lived up to what you believed I was. Finally converted guilt into action. Finally honored your sacrifice the way it deserved honoring. He stands, turns to Sarah. She's watching him with understanding that comes from shared experience, from knowing what it costs to carry the dead, from understanding that some debts transcend repayment but still demand acknowledgement. You gave me this mission 13 years ago in a hospital bed. You told me to live well, to live right, to be worthy of surviving. Took me 13 years to figure out what that meant, but I got there. Tom showed me the way. Riley showed me the moment. You gave me the permission, and the Brotherhood gave me the means. Sarah pulls him into a hug, the kind that says more than words can. The kind that acknowledges shared trauma and mutual respect, and the particular bond that forms between warriors who've both lost too much and both refuse to let loss define them. Thank you for Tom, for me, for Riley, for remembering when I couldn't, for showing up when showing up mattered most. Semper Fi, Doc, Semper Fi. Gunny, the bikers depart Saturday afternoon. 487 men who came to honor a fallen brother, who gave 48 hours of skilled labor, who transformed a dying diner into thriving legacy, who proved that brotherhood transcends death and geography, but in every barrier except indifference. They leave in formation, same discipline that brought them, same respect, same proof that the code is real and living and demands action. Engines rumble, exhaust fills the air. The sound fades gradually as the last bike disappears down Main Street. Millbrook returns to quiet, but different quiet, changed quiet, the kind that comes after something significant happens. After a town witnesses what community means when people remember community is a verb requiring action. Sarah stands in the parking lot with Riley. Dylan beside them, Ghost mounting his bike for departure. Dylan climbing into the sidecar with practiced ease. This is their life. The road, the motion, the endless miles that keep darkness at bay. You'll come back? Riley's voice carries hope. The kind that kids have before the world teaches them not to hope too hard. Every Friday, it's our booth now. Marine tradition. We don't break tradition. Promise? Promise. Ghost looks at Sarah. Something passes between them. Not romance, nothing that simple. Shared respect, mutual understanding, the recognition that they're bound by Tom's sacrifice, by 13 years of carrying his death in different ways, by the knowledge that healing comes through connection and service and choosing to live for something bigger than individual pain. He kicks the engine. Dylan waves to Riley. The bike pulls out. Heads north toward whatever comes next. But this time Ghost isn't running, isn't fleeing demons, is riding towards something instead of away from everything, has purpose, has mission, has reason to keep breathing that transcends mere survival. Behind him, Sarah and Riley return to the diner, their diner, owned free and clear, upgraded and restored, ready to serve, ready to thrive, ready to prove that Thompson legacy doesn't die just because Thompsons do. The sign glows in the afternoon sun. Ray's Diner, Est 1962, 3 generations, 3 wars, 1 code, service, sacrifice, brotherhood. 6 months later, March, spring warming the desert. Ray's Diner thrives, 300 customers daily, lines around the block, reviews on every platform praising the food and atmosphere and the story behind the resurrection. Sarah hired 15 employees, local kids getting their first jobs, veterans finding work when other places won't take a chance, community members who understand that this place matters, that legacy has weight, that some spaces carry significance beyond mere commerce. Every Friday at 6, Ghost and Dylan arrive, take their booth, the one with the plaque, reserved for Marines. Riley joins them when homework allows, the 3 kids forming bonds that transcend their parents' connection. building friendships on foundation of respect and shared understanding that life sometimes costs more than children should have to pay. Memorial Day weekend brings the first annual Tom Thompson Memorial Ride. 300 bikers arrive from across the Southwest. Not just Hells Angels now, all clubs, all veterans groups, all people who heard the story and wanted to participate, who wanted to prove that brotherhood extends beyond patches and affiliations. That service creates family that transcends blood. They gather in the parking lot, the space that 6 months ago held 500 men rebuilding a dream. Today it holds memorial ceremony, honoring fallen Marines, remembering sacrifice, teaching the next generation that freedom costs blood and vigilance, and the willingness to show up when showing up is hard. Ghost speaks. Chapter president now, elected unanimously. Leadership earned through action, through proving that surviving for something beats surviving from something. That purpose transforms pain into fuel, that the dead don't want guilt. They want the living to live well, to live right, to be worthy of the sacrifice. Tom Thompson died so we could live, not just survive, live. That means more than breathing, means building, creating, serving, means taking care of people who need taking care of, means showing up when the world says stay away, means proving every single day that his sacrifice mattered. That dying for brotherhood wasn't wasted on brothers who forgot what brotherhood demands. He looks at Riley standing beside her mother, 12 turning 13, growing into the warrior her father never got to see. Carrying his legacy without carrying his body. Learning that absence doesn't mean abandonment, that the dead remain present through the lives they shaped and the values they instilled and the example they set. Riley Thompson gave my son her only meal. Didn't hesitate, didn't calculate cost, just saw someone hungry and shared. That's Tom's blood in her. That's his code living forward. That's proof that sacrifice echoes through generations when we teach the next generation what sacrifice meant. Applause ripples through the crowd. Respectful, reverent, the kind reserved for moments that carry weight, for ceremonies that mean something, for gatherings that prove community still exists when people remember community requires action. Later inside the diner, Sarah serves Marines for free, policy she established opening day. Veterans eat at cost, coffee's always free, the booth is always reserved. Small gestures, but small gestures compound, build reputation, create culture, establish identity as more than just a restaurant, as a place that remembers, that honors, that serves those who served. A young woman enters late afternoon, baby in arms, toddler holding her hand, military spouse visible in her bearing, in the fear behind her eyes, in the way she approaches the counter like she's asking for something she doesn't deserve. Do you have anything inexpensive? My husband deployed last week and the check hasn't cleared and we're just, Sarah doesn't let her finish. Military families eat half price. Always. Kids eat free. Sit anywhere. I'll bring water. The woman's eyes fill. Relief mixing with gratitude, mixing with the particular exhaustion that comes from carrying too much alone. From being the parent left behind while the other parent faces danger. From trying to hold everything together on faith and stubbornness in the belief that service matters even when service costs everything. Riley watches from her booth, homework spread across the table, doing algebra that's starting to make sense, understanding patterns, seeing connections, learning that mathematics is just another language for describing how the world works. She sees the toddler, maybe 3 years old, eyes wandering toward Riley's plate, fries and burger, after-school meal, nothing special. But the way the child looks at it reminds Riley of something, of Dylan 6 months ago, of hunger that kids try to hide, of need that shouldn't exist but does. Riley stands, walks to their booth, carries her plate, doesn't ask permission, doesn't overthink, just acts on instinct that's been trained into her by example and environment in the accumulated weight of being Tom Thompson's daughter. She places the plate in front of the toddler. You looked hungry. 3 words, simple, direct, the same words that started everything 6 months ago, the same gesture that proves small actions create massive ripples, The same kindness that reminds everyone watching that the code isn't abstract philosophy. It's daily practice. It's choosing to see, need, and respond. It's being the person others need you to be. The mother tries to protest. Riley smiles. Tom's smile. The one that says everything will be okay if we just do the right thing. It's what we do here. Marines take care of Marines. Sarah watches from the counter, sees her daughter becoming who Tom would have wanted her to become. Not defined by his absence, shaped by his presence, carrying forward the values he died defending. Proving that legacy isn't something you inherit. It's something you earn through action and choice, and the daily decision to be worthy of the name you carry. Ghost sees it too, sitting in the Marine booth with Dylan, watching Riley give without counting cost, watching the pattern repeat, watching the code perpetuate through new generation. This is why Tom died. So kids like Riley could grow up in a world that values service. So children like Dylan could learn that strength means helping. So the next generation could inherit something worth inheriting. He pulls out his phone, takes a photo. Riley giving food to a hungry child, posts it to the Brotherhood channel with single caption. The code lives. Responses flood in immediately. Hundreds of brothers across 6 states seeing proof that their 48 hours mattered, that the mission succeeded beyond reconstruction, that they didn't just rebuild a building, they built a culture, established a pattern, created a space where kindness perpetuates because kindness is modeled and taught and expected. Evening settles over Millbrook. The diner fills with dinner crowd, locals who've made this their spot, tourists who heard the story and detoured to participate, veterans who stop because the booth is reserved and the coffee is free and the atmosphere says, you belong here. You matter. Your service counts. Sarah moves through the space with energy that wasn't present 6 months ago. The exhaustion is gone. The defeat is gone. The slow drowning has been replaced with thriving, with purpose, with proof that holding the line long enough means reinforcements eventually arrive. Riley does homework in her booth, Dylan beside her now. The two kids have become inseparable. Friendship forged in crisis, bonded through shared understanding that life is complicated and parents are broken, but showing up for each other makes both things bearable. Ghost sits at the counter, coffee in hand, watching Sarah work, watching the diner operate at capacity, watching legacy made tangible through collaboration and sacrifice, and the willingness of 500 men to show up when showing up mattered most. Tom's photo watches from the memorial wall, the grin, the confidence, the absolute certainty that doing the right thing works out eventually, even when eventually takes longer than you'd like. Ghost raises his coffee cup. Silent toast. Acknowledgement that spans 13 years and 6,000 miles in the distance between living and dead. I finally did it, brother. Finally became the man you believed I was. Finally converted survival into purpose. Finally proved your sacrifice wasn't wasted on someone who wasted his life. He drinks. The coffee's good. Everything here is good. Quality ingredients, skilled preparation, attention to detail that comes from caring, from understanding that excellence honors those who made excellence possible. Sarah approaches, refills his cup without asking, knows his preference, knows his routine, knows him in the way warriors know each other, through action, through shared burden, through mutual respect earned over time and tested through crisis. Dylan asleep? Just dozed off, long week. School's hard when you're trying to catch up, but he's getting there. Grades improving, making friends, starting to believe that staying in one place doesn't mean getting trapped. Ghost has been in Millbrook for 6 months, longest he's stayed anywhere since leaving the Marines. Rented an apartment, got steady work, joined the community, planted roots he swore he'd never plant. All because mission required it, because Dylan deserved stability, because Sarah needed someone who understood, because Tom's sacrifice demanded Ghost become more than a survivor running from ghosts. How about you, managing, okay? Ghost considers, honest assessment. The nightmares haven't stopped. Probably never will. PTSD doesn't cure. It just becomes manageable. But the frequency has decreased. The intensity has lessened. Having purpose helps. Having people helps. Having reason to get up means the darkness doesn't win as often. Better, not perfect, but better. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's growth. That's healing. That's being human instead of being marine. Humans get to be imperfect, get to struggle, get to need help. The code includes accepting that warriors need warriors. That strength sometimes looks like admitting weakness, that surviving alone is just slower dying. They stand in comfortable silence, the kind that comes from mutual understanding, from shared experience, from knowing that some things don't need speaking. Some truths exist in the space between words. Some connections transcend conversation. The door opens. Frank Morrison enters. Becomes regular customer now. Comes 3 times weekly. Always sits at the counter. Always orders meatloaf. Always leaves generous tip. Trying to make amends for decades of forgetting what brotherhood taught him. Trying to honor his son by supporting the widow his son never got to help. He nods to Sarah. To Ghost. Takes his seat. Opens his newspaper. Becomes part of the pattern. Part of the community. Part of the proof that redemption is possible when people choose to change. When they remember who they were before loss and greed and bitterness reshaped them. When they decide that becoming better beats staying bitter. Evening deepens into night. The dinner rush fades. Customers thin. By 9 o'clock, the diner's nearly empty. Just the regulars. The people for whom this place means more than food, means connection. Means proof that community still exists when people remember community is a choice. Sarah begins closing routine. Riley helps automatically. Dylan wakes and pitches in. Ghost busses tables without being asked. Frank refills napkin dispensers. The work gets shared because that's what families do. Not blood families, necessarily. Chosen families, the kind forged through crisis and sustained through commitment and proven through showing up daily even when daily is hard. Outside, the sign glows against darkness. Ray's Diner, Est 1962, where brotherhood begins. The tagline that someone suggested and Sarah adopted. Accurate, true to your own. This is where Ghost found purpose, where Sarah found hope, where Riley learned that sacrifice matters, where Dylan discovered that roots don't trap you if the ground you're rooted in is fertile, where Frank remembered who he was before grief reshaped him, where community proved itself real through action instead of words. Ghost helps Sarah lock up, walks her and Riley upstairs to their apartment. Safety protocol, old habits from military service. You walk people to their door. You make sure they're secure. You protect those who need protecting because that's what warriors do, what they've always done, what they'll always do until the code dies, or they do, whichever comes first. Good night, Captain. Good night, Gunny. The titles persist, not rank anymore. Identity, recognition of who they were and who they still are beneath civilian clothing. Warriors don't stop being warriors just because uniforms come off. Service doesn't end at separation. The code follows you home, shapes how you live, defines who you become, makes demands that never expire because some things are bigger than individual lives. Ghost and Dylan walk to their apartment 3 blocks away. Small place, 2 bedrooms, affordable on disability check, plus steady electrical work. Nothing fancy, but home, real home. Not temporary stopping point, not shelter between flights. Actual home where Dylan has his own room and Ghost has his own space and both of them have stability that seemed impossible 6 months ago. Dylan gets ready for bed, brushes teeth, changes into pajamas, climbs under covers that are his in a bed that's his in a room that's his, the kind of a stability kids need, the kind Ghost never had growing up, the kind he swore he'd provide if he ever got the chance. Dad? Yeah, buddy? Are we staying here? Like really staying? Ghost sits on the edge of the bed. His son's face shows the fear that comes from too many relocations, too many temporary situations, too many promises that home was just around the corner when corners kept multiplying into mazes. Yeah, we're staying. This is home now. Real home. The kind that lasts. Because of Riley's family? Because of a lot of things. Because this is where we're supposed to be. Because Tom brought us here. Because staying is braver than running. Because you deserve roots and friends and a place that knows your name. Because I'm done running from ghosts. Done letting the past chase me away from the future. Dylan nods, processes, accepts. The fear in his eyes lessens, doesn't disappear. Won't disappear until months of stability prove the promise is real. But lessons, that's enough. That's progress. That's the beginning of trust rebuilding. I like it here. Me too, son. Me too. Ghost turns off the light, closes the door, goes to his own room, looks at the photo on his dresser. Squad photo, Afghanistan, 2011. Six faces smiling because they didn't know yet. Didn't know that 3 months later, an IED would kill five of them. That only Ghost would survive. That survival would feel like punishment for 13 years until he learned to convert punishment into purpose. He touches Thompson's face in the photo. The grin, the confidence, the absolute certainty that everything works out if you just do the right thing and trust your brothers and hold the line when holding the line is all you can do. Thanks, brother, for pulling me out, for believing I was worth saving, for giving me 13 years to figure out what worth means, for having a daughter who reminded me what I survived for dying so I could live, for making your death mean something by making my life mean something. He climbs into bed, closes his eyes, expects nightmares like always, gets dreamless sleep instead, the kind that comes when burdens lift, when missions complete, when purpose overrides pain and guilt converts to gratitude, and survival transforms into living. Somewhere in the darkness, Thompson's ghost smiles, satisfied, mission accomplished, brother honored, family protected, legacy secured, code perpetuated, everything a Marine could ask for. Everything sacrifice is supposed to purchase. Everything that makes dying for something worthwhile when the dying creates space for others to live well. The night passes peaceful over Millbrook, over the diner that almost died and lived instead, over the widow who almost quit and held the line instead, over the daughter who shared her meal and started a revolution, over the biker who survived when others didn't and finally learned what surviving for means, over all of them, connected by sacrifice, bound by brotherhood, proven through action, living the code daily because the code isn't abstract, it's practice. It's choosing, it's being worthy of the name you carry and the legacy you inherit and the sacrifice that made your life possible. Morning comes whether you're ready or not. Sarah opens the diner at 6:15 exactly. Riley appears at 7, Dylan and Ghost at 7:30. Customers filter in throughout the morning. The rhythm establishes. The pattern repeats. The community functions. This is what Tom died for, this daily choosing. This ordinary living made extraordinary through commitment and consistency and the willingness to show up even when showing up is hard. This is what all warriors die for. The chance for those who survive to live well, to live right, to be worthy of the sacrifice that purchased their continued existence. Semper Fidelis, always faithful, to the fallen, to the living, to the code that binds warriors across time and space and the thin boundary between breath and absence. Always faithful to the mission, to the brotherhood, to the simple truth that no one gets left behind. Not on the battlefield, not in life, not ever. The coffee brews, the grill heats, the day begins. And in every action, every gesture, every moment of kindness shown and received, Tom Thompson's legacy lives. Not in memory alone, in practice, in doing. In being the people he died believing we could become. That's how you honor the fallen. Not with speeches, not with ceremonies, with living, with choosing, with being worthy every single day of the sacrifice that made living possible. That's the code. That's the mission. That's why we ride.